In this class, we are going to see the keying process within After Effects. The keying is one of the most delicate steps in a compositing. The quality of the key greatly impacts on the perception of a shot, the integration of the overall visuals, and the functionality of the shot itself. To complete this task, we will use Keylight, a plugin available in After Effects, but developed by the Foundry, the software house responsible for Nuke, the best compositing software on the market. To give you a matrix, Keylight is one of the more simple and less performing keying tools available in Nuke, while it is the best tool in After Effects. With Keylight, we will generate two distinct matte, a soft matte and a core matte, that once combined will give us the correct key. A matte is a black and white image, much like a layer mask in Photoshop, that we can use to generate alpha in After Effects. With this introduction completed, let's dig into the keying process. First of all, we need to nest the cleanup composition into a new comp. We can do so by clicking and dragging the existing comp on the Create New Composition command, much like we did with the original footage. Now that we have a nested comp, we can go to the Effects tab and search for Keylight. Select it and apply it to the cleanup layer. In Keylight, we can control a lot of different elements, and if we want, we can create a final composite straight away. Nonetheless, the matte approach I'm showing you will allow for more control and adjustment in the final composite and conform steps. First of all, we need to select a background color. With the picker, click on a point in the greenback as even as possible. Next, we should change the view option from the final result to screen matte. This way, the output of our Keylight will be a black and white matte. As you can see, applying the effect on the pre-comp is not going to work correctly. In fact, we don't see the transparency we created in the cleanup as alpha 0, but it is read in Keylight as full alpha. In order to avoid so, we need to activate the continuous rendering option on the layer. On a composition, the switch activates a pass-through option that allows us to work on the composition but taking advantage of the properties on the layers within. In this case, using the alpha information of our rotoscope. Our aim is now to have a full black background and a full white subject. To do so, we might increase the screen gain, thus adding shades of green to the key, and even try to change the screen balance, thus changing the midpoint of our green range. Instead, we are going to work with the screen matte controls. In this menu, we can control in detail how the key interacts with the footage and how it is going to isolate the subject from the greenback. The different controls allow us to clean the noise for both background and foreground, to shrink or grow the alpha value, and to remove spots from the matte. Working on the clip black control, we make the background more defined and neat until it is an even black. In compositing, we can change the exposure option on the viewer in order to verify the quality of our matte and highlighting the noise on both background and foreground. Just remember to reset it after every check. Now let's take down the clip white value in order to have an even white shape for our subject. Afterwards, we can work on the screen the spot controls. These two controls allow us to remove black or white patches from an even color section of the frame. This means that with the spot white, we are going to remove white spots from the black background, and with the spot black, we are going to remove black spots from the white section of the frame. These tools are really good to define the parts of a shot that we definitely need to see in our final composite, as well as the element we need to remove. With the screen shrink grow, we can expand or contract our key. This is used to further isolate the core parts of our matte and make sure we have a full alpha for the parts of the subject that need it. In this case, we are going to shrink it. Both the spot and screen shrink are strong controls, so be gentle and don't overuse them. With the clip rollback control, we can define a semi-alpha portion of our matte. It is a control that can be useful if working on a final composite straight away in order to better control the borders of our alpha. The matte we are working on right now is going to be our core matte. Thus, we are going to push the clipping in order to have a very neat key. Pay attention that a neat key is good only if intertwined with a soft key in order to allow for a better control on our composite and on how the light interacts with the element in the scene. It is imperative to always check your key in all the frames in the shot. In this case, the light is pretty even, so we won't have issues, but it is often necessary to apply corrections to the key in different moments in the shot. The aim is to have a key that is suitable for all the frames. Now that we are satisfied with our core matte, we can rename the layer in the comp. Afterwards, duplicate it, use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl D, and rename the new layer to soft matte. This way, we are going to use the same key as before, with some adjustments for the soft matte. First of all, let's reset the screen matte controls and make them anew. For the soft matte, we are going to need a really soft key, with a lot of gray areas and particularly soft edges in the matte. The aim is to use it to have full control on the border of the alpha and on elements we lost in the core matte, such as the strands of hair from the girl. To do so, we are going to be really gentle with both clipping and the spot. Then, in order to make the soft key even softer, we are going to add a Gaussian blur to the layer. This way, all the borders will be really soft. A blur value of around 4 or 5 should work pretty fine for now. As you can see, we have created a really soft matte that we need to combine with our core matte. To do so, we are going to use blending modes. First of all, let's put the core matte on top of the soft matte. Then select Screen as its blending mode. This way, the white components of the core matte will bleed to the soft matte, while the black parts won't be considered. Now we have a matte with hard inner elements and soft borders. In order to apply our key, select the two layers and pre-compose them into a new comp called matte. This is the comp we are going to use to transfer the matte information to our footage. Then let's open it up and use the same technique we have seen in the previous class to remove the blue tracking point from the shot. This time, instead of a green patch, we will use a black solid directly into our matte to block out the point. Now that we have completed our matte, we can apply it to the footage. Let's drop the footage into the keying composition underneath the matte and use the track matte controls to apply the alpha. Having worked with the black and white matte, we are going to use the Luma Matte option. And now we have created our key. By turning on the grid view, you can see that our composition has now a good alpha to work on. As you can see, there is a lot of spill around the subject. Spill is the shade of the greenback that we can see on the subject. We are going to remove it during the composite step. Using the matte technique not only allows us to better control the soft edges of our matte, but prevents the color of our shot to get distorted during the keying process as well.